A story my mother told me. Posted by Rocco409. When my mother was very young, around the age of 10, she and her family were at some function in a park in the town they lived in. It was a fairly large park. All the kids were running around playing different games of tag, hide and seek, etc. The adults were all talking with each other. You know, your basic outdoor function picnic in the 1940s. At one point, while playing with all the kids, my mom got separated from them as she was hiding. She said that all of a sudden she felt odd. This feeling quickly became very intense, very much like a blanket of heaviness, something evil. For whatever reason, she looked up into one of the trees in the park. She saw a small, deformed, troll-like man staring back down at her. Her gaze stayed upon him for two reasons. One, she couldn't believe what she was seeing, and two, the overwhelming feeling of something horrible was so intense, she froze. He kept staring at her, my mom staring back. He smiled and she said his teeth were bad, yellow and brown-like. My mom started to cry and she suddenly got the courage to bolt away. According to her, I'm the only one she ever told the story to. I believe her story, and I've often wondered what that short, ugly man was doing up in that tree. When my mom told me that story many years ago, I could actually feel the horror that she must have felt. Bless you, Mama. Rest in peace. My son said something strange. Posted by Joey NJ Guy. Okay, so the other day my wife says to me, "Your son said something that creeped me out a little." Now, my wife isn't one to get scared or creeped out over just anything, so she definitely had my attention. Also, note that since he said something strange, he's automatically my son. LOL. Anyway, a little backstory on my cub. Since he could walk at 1, he's 6 now, he was always extremely aware of things and actually would listen when you told him not to touch things because he could get hurt or burned or whatever it was. And he would just never even look to get into things where most kids like my daughter would rather just get into whatever it is a million times. He speaks like he's well beyond his years, and sometimes I get shocked at how advanced he is, and oftentimes my wife and I have said he has such an old soul, even his mannerisms. Out of the blue, he's just having a conversation with my wife and says, "Mommy, I remember when I was inside your belly." She's not really thinking anything of it. It's just entertaining what he's saying and asks what he remembers. He says, "I remember how dark it was, and I remember hearing Daddy's voice. But I remember before that." And my wife says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I remember when I was an old man with my wife. We were really old. She was beautiful, Mom. She had gray hair, and she had these black things on both her arms. I loved her. I really miss her." He's telling her this, and he's dead serious. So my wife changes the subject and tells me, "Your son just creeped me out." Anyone else have this happen with kids? Or have you personally felt this way? Nursing home experiences. Posted by a little nerdy 88. I have worked at a few nursing homes, but one is more memorable than the rest. I had many encounters there. I will name a few. I was working night shift during all of these. One time in the middle of the night, a chair alarm on a wheelchair started going off. Mind you, it is sitting in the middle of the empty hallway, and when I go to check it out, it is shut off. It went off a few more times before it finally stopped. Another experience was with an elderly lady. For some reason, her call light kept going off. I would ask her if she needed anything. She repeatedly told me she was fine. Then I finally asked her why she was pressing her call light, and she told me in Spanish, "It isn't me. I don't even have the button with me. Look, it's over there. These children won't stop pressing it. I have told them to behave. They keep jumping in and out of the window. They're being very bad. Her call light ended up being near the window. It couldn't have been her because she had no legs. I was a little freaked out, but I believed her. This elderly can see things. Sometimes they would tell me a man in black was walking the halls. Another lady called me in the middle of the night, telling me to tell that man in black to go away and stay out of her room. She was very, very scared. At this facility, we had a hospice room where one would go when they were about to pass away. One night, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap on my break. Well, this room was empty and had a nice recliner. I decided to use it. I wish I could say something scary happened. It didn't. I just got this overwhelming feeling of peace, like everything in the world was okay. I suddenly started to smell flowers as well. Best nap ever. I never felt scared like I was in danger. Just accepted it was haunted. So many people had passed away in this facility. Scared me shitless. Posted by Living Dead Girl. Hey guys. I've lurked on this sub for many years, and I never thought that I'd have a reason to post on here. But here I go. By the way, this happened not even 15 minutes ago. As I'm writing this, it's currently 9:32 p.m., so it's obviously pretty dark. I was on the back porch smoking a bowl, not enough to get me stoned out of my mind, so I am certain what I saw was actually there. Prior to the encounter, I was getting my stuff together to go outside to smoke, and I had earbuds in, but with one earbud out. I heard something in the woods. It was like screeching and then a loud growl. I shrugged it off as if it was my neighbor's dog. I then heard it again a few minutes later. I realized that can't be a dog. It just couldn't be a dog. It was creepy. The tree line is about 20 feet away from the porch. In the tree line to my right, I see something like red eyes. It was tall and lanky. I got a sinister feeling from it. My heart dropped to my stomach. I dropped everything I was holding and ran back inside. I have no idea at all what it could be, but that really scared me shitless like no other. I don't think I'll ever go back there at night. Ever again. What do you think happened to me? I'm going to tell you about an experience I had as a kid that continues to terrify me to this day. I have never come to a solid opinion on what it was, so I decided to share it publicly and see if anyone else has had a similar experience. If you have or can point me to other similar examples, it would be appreciated. So, first, some context. I was about 13 to 14, roughly 30 years ago now. I lived in a very tiny rural town, less than 400 people, at the north edge of the Ozark Mountains in Missouri. This town was so small, we didn't have our own police and school only went to 8th grade. After that, you had to go to the next town. I lived in a modular home about the size of a double-wide trailer. At the time, my sister and her son, who was 4 or 5 at the time, lived with us. So it was the two of them, myself, and my parents. We also had a family dog that slept inside the doorway. As for the layout, if you were to walk into the front door, straight ahead would be the living room. To the right was a short hall. On the right of that hall was the door to my sister's room. On the left, the bathroom. I shared a room with my nephew, directly at the end of the hall. In that bedroom, we slept in bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk. The bed was built by my dad, and though was stable, it made a lot of noise and wobbled when he or I moved around in it. Unfortunately, I don't have a date, season, or even a specific year for this. I wasn't in the habit that age of recording things like that. But as I said, it was about 30 years ago. I was about 14 to 15 and my nephew 4 to 5. So here's what happened. I don't remember how I woke up, just that I was awake. It was in the middle of the night. Everyone was in bed. And then I started hearing a noise. It started at the front door. It sounded like a footstep, but the cadence wasn't right for that. The steps were repetitive and timed, but about 5 seconds between steps. Too long for it to be a person walking. They didn't seem to be trying to be quiet either. Solid thumps. I think after the first couple, I pulled the blanket over my head. These steps, I'll just call them that, came down the hallway, past my sister's door, into my room and stopped. Then they were at the side of my bed. I was terrified. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. I remember it was as if my throat was quelching the sound and my scream was just silent. My nephew said tiredly, "Mommy?" And then the bed began shaking and squeaking. I remember this happening for around 3 to 5 seconds. And that's it. I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember falling back to sleep or any other noises. That's simple. The end of my memory of that night. The next day I did tell everyone in the house about what happened, but I don't think they believed it to be anything but a dream. And they all said they did not come into our room that night. Another odd thing is our dog made no sound. He seemed to be asleep through it, and it went right past where he slept. I'm not going to declare that there's no way I was dreaming. I honestly don't believe I was, but I will accept it as a possibility. Also, no one in the house had a history of sleepwalking, and I've never known any of them to do it after that night. But barring a dream, what do you think this was, and why? The why, to me, is the most important.